Welcome, welcome to Quiz the Music Man. I'm Tony Underwood. I'm the Music Man, and we're going to talk about all things music today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about music lessons. I'm going to talk about something coming up special that are going to help you if you ever wanted to learn to play an instrument or continue to learn to play an instrument. A lot of people have started and stopped. A lot of adults or older teens have started and stopped. And got a little bit of not a cold, but some sinus issues from the weather. So it might sound a little bit different, but bear with me. I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm trying to keep these under half an hour. It's tough because I think I love to hear myself talk. That's always, I was a singer and still singer, but there's an old joke, and it's the truth. You hear somebody and it's not a knock against them. It's usually just something that's going on in them right then. But you say, well, you tell that person really loves the sound of their own voice. It's when you try to make your voice pretty or something a little too much. And anyway, that's kind of what I'm trying to do today because my voice sounds a little bit crazy, I think, to me. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about taking music lessons. We're going to talk about something special I've got coming up that could help you if you want to take music lessons. And then I've got a special way to take music lessons. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, there's been a lot of news and things about Kanye West and his music contract. So we're going to talk a little bit about music contracts because a lot of the people I follow in the music industry that are bloggers and vloggers and YouTubers and people that are specialists helping you in having a music career are talking about Kanye West and his music contract. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too. Record deal, which aren't many records anymore, but they still say it, a music label deal and doing independent work. So first, let's talk a little bit about music lessons. Now, how music lessons work typically is either a class, or I should say a group lesson, or a private lesson. Now there are things in between. There's master classes, which are 5 to 10 people. There's maybe 2 or 3 people at a time. But those are, for the most part, it's either a group, a class, like you'd have in school. Everybody, pull out a little violin or get behind the keyboard. Or one-on-one, where it's just you and the instructor. Now, which is best? Well, if you think the groups are the best, if you think the one-on-one is the best, or if you think somewhere in the middle is the best, I'm going to let you know that you are right. That's like Henry Ford used to say, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So that's kind of how it is. Group lessons have their place. They are only good for the beginner. It depends on the person. I have seen a few people, very few, that were fantastic groups, giving group lessons, always on. Now, I think I'm one of those people for a short while. I cannot consistently maintain the quality that you need for a group. Takes a special person. I'm not it. Now I can do groups when we're doing band rehearsals, or we actually do group makeups in our school, and that shows you how to work with a group. I'm very good at that. That's a different thing. And take advantage of that anywhere you're taking lessons. They're not trying to make money off you. They're trying to teach you about music. That's what it is. People have such a hard time with that, and that is what music's all about. But you can't start there. The one-on-one for most people works the best. And what that means is you will go to a place, hopefully. Sometimes they come to you. I don't like that either, but that's me. It works some of the times. But even when it works, it can be deceiving. It can work, but your results just aren't there. And it's no fault of the instructor or the student or the parent. It's a situation. going to a studio or going to someone's home even that has a home studio at the same time every week, the same day, same time, that develops in you a consistency that you need to take music lessons. So it's one of the things you have to learn in order to learn music. So I urge you to do that. So you're going to go to this person and you're going to be with them for a half hour, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. And you're going to go over different things. And most of the time, if you're a piano or guitarist, you'll have a book, you'll go through the book, and you'll get a pretty good musical education. Unfortunately for independents, it's usually not a very well-rounded one. And that's not a knock against anyone. That's one of the things we're always striving here to make sure. That's why I don't teach much anymore. I make sure I'm looking at what's going on. And here's the reason. There's the classical music, which is classical music, the classical piano book, guitar book learning. There's playing pop songs, just playing chords and singing along or accompanying other people. And then there's performing to a group. Now, performing can lead on to professional performing, but performing is part of anyone's education in front of a group. And if they don't get that, they're not getting a good education. And a lot of times it's tough when you're just letting somebody come into your house and give you a few lessons. It's hard to do a recital that really hits all the nails. And I'm not saying they're doing a bad thing, but you need to go into a place and hear other people taking lessons. You need to go into a place where they have recitals here and recitals there, and people that are both really high on the performance list and those that will never perform. You need to see all that, and you need to just be immersed in that. And then the music comes alive for you, and you can do some cool things with it. So let me share with you that within a couple of years of taking music, music's not easy. It should be and a challenging thing that's you enjoy succeeding at. But you should learn to both play a melody, or sing a melody. I mean, if somebody's going to a one-line melody, you might sing that, play that on the guitar or whatever. Then there's chords. That's more than one note at a time. You can sing along to chords or chord progression. And then the last thing, which I can't do, is perform with other people for other people. So those are three things. And along that, you should learn to read what's called music notation. You've seen the lines, the funny lines with all the squiggles on them. It takes a little bit of work, but by doing that, and then after you learn the basics, you can pick up any kind of notation, whether it's, we have different types called chord charts, lead sheets, regular music written all out, Nashville numbers, just letters on a page that you can follow, and playing by ear. Now, some people think, well, theory and playing by ear, they're two different things. No, they're the same. We teach that. That's what music lesson's all about. Now, you're not going to start there. It has to build on it. There's a spiral theory. So you start at a place and you go around like a shell, a nautilus shell, and you come back to that beginning. You go around again like a planet orbiting the solar system. You revisit things and you add on it, and it takes several weeks, months, or years to get back to it, but then you can add on it. And much like music lessons, that's what they are. And pretty quickly, you can play little songs, but the most important thing about music is not practice. Everybody says it is, but people don't know what practice is. and I always say, in homage to Allen Iverson, and everybody's like, who's Allen Iverson? Google him. We're talking about practice. Most people think practice is going into a room and just sweating and hating it and just playing all the stuff you played in your lesson. That's not even close. You see, practice is where you're working on two things. You're going to work on technique and your actual performance. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to take little tiny bits of what you are working on and you're going to play them over and over and over again. And I've done blogs on this, and I'll do some more. I'm going to grab what I call a handful of notes. Let's say I'm looking at some music and it has these notes. And the rhythm are the same for all of them. They're the same timing. It's just, So how am I going to practice that? Well, I'm going to first find that first note. If I don't know where that is exactly, I might take my hand off and go back and find it. Then I'm going to go from that note to the next note. And I'm going to go. And I'm going to look at my fingers, looking at the keyboard, look at the music, and look away. And do that maybe 100 times, 200 times. It only takes a couple minutes. And then I'm going to go to the next note. Loop that. Look away. Look at the music. The last note. Loop that. Do that a couple hundred times. And then I might do the next notes. Now that's an easy one, so. And then I'm going to go back to my first measure, my first handful of notes, and I'm going to play that plus just the very next note, the start of that second measure. I have to move my hand for that. And once I have that down, I'm going to add those both together. So that was a very simplistic way. That's the essence of learning. And you start with the one note, and if you're a singer or you're playing an instrument and it doesn't sound good, keep practicing that one note over and over again. 200 times, 500 times. Sounds like a lot, it just takes a few minutes. And if you do that a few times a week in a couple of weeks, not only will you have that technique, which is a physical thing you're doing, you'll have it memorized without memorizing it. You'll never get stopped up. You'll stumble maybe, miss a note, but you can go right back to it. You don't have to worry about looking and starting over. Never start over. Deal with where you messed up. So I'll do some more blogs on that, but that's basically how lessons can go. And if you have a teacher that's a positive teacher, within a couple of years you should be playing pop tunes, your own stuff, making up your own music, being able to pick out a song by your ear, reading music, and so forth. So let me share with you a great way to learn music. It's this little instrument. For those of you on the blog, you're not going to see it, but for those of you, it's a ukulele. It sounds like a mini guitar. It looks like a little guitar. It has a my dog has fleas. So that's kind of. So this is a little out of tune. I just picked it up here, but those are, $20, $30 on the interwebs, and you can get a little CD or a book to teach yourself, and it's very easy. And I would recommend everybody grab one of those, or grab one and everybody in the house take a month or two and learn that. And that's a great class instrument because it's handy. You can take it with you. You take it to the beach, vacation. You go on a car ride. You can take it. It's loud enough to play for a group of people, soft enough to play, not that you're not bothering anybody. So let's talk about contracts. For those of you who might think you want to be a musician or, playing and singing and writing your own music, there's a lot of talk about contracts, whereas the record company gave him a bunch of money to start with, but then hidden in the contract there's these things called recoupables, and if he doesn't pay those off, that advance money isn't enough. If the money they make off the album doesn't cover the advance they gave him, they can go into his next album, and he's Kanye, has expressed that he's like beholden to them forever, and so forth. And all that's true, except for the hidden part. There's nothing ever hidden in a contract. It's all there. You see, a contract is an agreement between two parties that don't trust each other. It's like people say the marriage contract. Well, no, marriage is a covenant. That's an agreement between two people that love each other, that's out of love. Now, there can be a contractual side of marriage. Marriage was a contract in the very beginning. It had nothing to do with love. That was, 17th, 18th century romanticizing of love. I'm not saying there isn't romantic love. That is, but before that, it didn't matter. It was all about the contract. How many cows you were getting when you married this girl, and how many you were giving back to the dad, and all that weird stuff. But covenants are different, and you're doing a record contract. And yes, the advance is just that. It's an advance. It's like a loan. They're like your bank. And they have all the connections. They have all the ability. But, you see a lot of young folks that are really just see the stars in their eyes, and they get millions of dollars maybe. But what you don't realize is the song that they write, JR and BY and Felicidad and Jack Spratt are in that studio, and they're writing with you, right? They're saying, don't say the, say the. And he gets his name, and somebody else says, well, no, don't say the cow jumped over the moon and then all good men should come to their country. Say all good men should come to their country and the cow jumped over the moon. All right. Well, he's got a writing part of it. So you might end up with 30 people. Well, that's how the label kind of envisioned it. They're spreading that money around to people in their venue, which is nothing wrong with that. And they're using the advance they gave you. You're going to have to pay for all those parties and all those travel expenses and things. And if you get, and I'm not judging gold chains and jewelry and supercars and all this, they live like billionaires when they're not even millionaires. Because just because you have a couple $1 million doesn't make you a millionaire. Most people, they're going to be working for 40, 50 years, they'll make more than $1 million. Or if they were to put just a tiny bit away from that when they started out at 18, $100 a month or something small, when they retired, they'd have more than $1 million. You wouldn't need a record company. That's another story. And they charge you for producing it and making the record. So my suggestions are to, if you want to be in the music business or any business really, is to take a class in contracts of all kinds. And this goes for everybody, because I when I was first in high school, I took some contract classes. I went to get my real estate license when I was in high school, and you have to learn about contracts. And that's when I learned, oh my gosh, so this is forever, whatever it says goes, and no matter how much they like you, and no matter what they tell you, they'll say, oh, well, no, Tony, we're going to give you $5 million, you're going to keep that. Well, no, the contract says they get to use that as an advance. And if you don't pay them back, then you have to do more albums for them. And it doesn't matter how friendly you are, and it doesn't matter what they said. And remember, you're not making a deal with that person. You're making a deal with that whole person and their circle. That's the worst thing. Somebody becomes a partner with somebody and doesn't realize, well, where does that partnership go if that person dies or is out of the picture or gets a divorce? Well, that other person might get part of what you got. It's like having somebody come work on your house, or somebody, oh, can I have somebody, a friend of mine, he wants to look at this to give me, you say no. And you contracted with just that one person. You tell him anybody he brings on, he's responsible for. Because that other person can come on there. Maybe he goes up and looks at your roof and falls off the roof. He can sue you. Maybe he goes up there and later charges you $5,000 for looking. If you don't pay him, he can put a lien on your property. There's a lot of those things, and it doesn't happen often, but it only needs to happen to you. And you have to watch what the contract says. You have to know it. You have to get an idea. And then you have to get a lawyer that's not associated with the record company. You have in writing, and you say, you as an attorney stipulate you are in no way beholden or associated or has dealt with this record label or anybody material in it. And that you're only here to represent me. And you still, if you don't like something, don't sign it. A lot of people want to get their masters, which are the recordings that you make. Well, the record company doesn't want to give that up. That's all they got. I don't blame them. If I was signing somebody on, I would get the masters. They're getting a percentage of them. I mean, otherwise, they can use their own $5 million and further their career. And that's really what I suggest you do. If record companies are calling and you don't like the contract, take your notes and sit down and talk with them and say, I'd like to talk with them. And then you can see if you can get some investors. If you have an investor and you tell the investor that if I need to spend money, I'm going to come to you and show you. And if you agree to spend it, that's your money. All you're going to get is what we stipulated if the music earns money. You know, don't have any recoupables or advances or paybacks. It's pay or play. That means once you get the money, it's yours, whether you die, whether you don't write a note, whether nothing. It doesn't matter. That's how it's got to be. And if you have somebody writing a check for a lot of money, let them write it themselves. And that way they'll know, you know, well, does he really need a new PC? Does he need a $10,000 PC? Or maybe a $3,000 will do. You know, that's kind of up to them. My suggestion, I'm going to give you some names of people. You can look them up. I'm not endorsing them necessarily. I'm not in cahoots with them. I don't know them. Some of them I know, but I don't know as a friend. I've actually used some of their courses. Rick Barker, rickbarker.com. He was Taylor Swift's first manager. Yeah, that Taylor Swift. Rick Barker, rickbarker.com. He's got a lot of videos and things to join, and just join it and pay it and learn what you want to do. Damian Keys, he's on YouTube. Adam Ivy is on YouTube. There's people called Burstimo. It's weird, but they're on YouTube and other places. Adam Ivy's big on Instagram. And look at those, and there are others, so you can do your research and see if there's a course that fits your needs. Now, I'm not going to say that fits your ability to pay, because I'm going to submit you can pay for one of these courses. Some of them are very inexpensive. Some of them are thousands of dollars. Pay it. Just do it, because you're going to spend that money on something stupid like a car or vaping or whatever. You know, people do every kind of weird thing. So spend it on yourself, and they will teach you how to market yourself, how to market your own music, how to record it, market it, and get your own fan base and make your own money and keep 100% of it. And if you look on YouTube, there are musicians that are doing that, and I'm not going to name them, but you can name them all. Chance the Rapper is one of them. But take a look at that and see what's out there, and you know, get yourself to where you don't have to worry about that record label. Now, you might sign a record deal. It's great, and I'm not against record labels. I'm for them, because if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have the music we have. For every artist they make popular, they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on maybe 50 artists that don't make it. And those artists got that money and spent it. Now, they'll never get millions, but they wouldn't have anyway. They got their hundreds of thousands. That's not bad. And they got to make an album, so they could go off on their own and do their own thing now. Some other things you could do, is when you're recording for I wouldn't tell them this, when you're recording that album for those people, go take a break, or right afterwards, go hire your own musicians, go in book a sound stage, and you can get somebody to record it on Pro Tools for probably a couple $100. Record all the songs yourself, and you have those. Those are yours. You can do what you want to with them. Now, your contract might keep you from doing that. It might say exclusive. But you're going to have to figure out how to get around that. You can definitely do it for your own good and keep it. I mean, there's nothing against that. But be careful, some contracts are more work for hire, so any work you produce is theirs. So make sure you read that contract right. And lastly, getting a college degree is 3 to 5 years or more, and you might pay $100,000. Pay that to yourself. Take these courses. Pay for a good recordings. You don't have to overpay. Don't pay more than a couple $100 for each recording, unless you're hiring session musicians, and then don't pay much more than $1,000. Don't pay more than $1,000, maybe $2 for a music video, and it better be super good. You probably get one for $500, and you're recording for $500 too. Especially if you're a singer-songwriter, you're just going to plunk away at the guitar and go for it. You can put that out on Spotify yourself. Go through an aggregator like CD Baby. Keep your publishing yourself, though. Don't give your publishing away. Register with BMI, Sound Exchange, some other places. There's a lot of places you can get on. I'll do a blog about that one day. But until then, make your own music. Educate yourself. Take your time to do this. Go out and play Facebook Lives. Play every week. Get your chops up. Play for other people. Have some people come into that and join in. So we'll talk more about contracts, but research that stuff and do it on your own. And I said there was a good surprise, and the surprise is going to be that I am preparing a session of music lessons where you will go from zero to hero, and it's going to be under $100, probably about $97. It's going to be a 12-week course, which really is 8 weeks, but you might take 12. And I'm not going to do it on this blog, but my next blog I will show you what you can expect to be able to do at the end of that 12 weeks. And I'm going to offer that, you can get your money back if you don't like it, but if you get your money back, you have to show me 12 weeks of taking your lessons. So you have to record them, at least 3 hours a week. Record you taking the lessons, taking the course. And then if you still can't play at the end of that, we got problems. So I'll give you your money back. So that's 36 hours of recording you're going to be doing. Believe me, you'll learn it. There won't be any refunds necessary. But I will show you, take you from zero to hero, and then at that point I will have other courses if you want to really get into the niche of something and go off and do things. But you'll be able to play. I'll show you on our next blog a little bit about what you should be able to do at the end of that. And $97, where'd the last $97 you have went? A couple meals at McDonald's, shoes, half a shoe, not even shoes, stuff like that. So anyway, there's our talk tonight. Thank you for listening in. You can find my music all over Spotify, YouTube. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Tony Underwood Music. Listen to more of these blogs. Let me know what you think. I'd be glad to hear. I know the quality of the video and audio is pretty poor, but I'm working on that. Hope everybody has a great week, and give me some thoughts, or just let me know what's going on in your life. I don't even need to have any thoughts from you, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I hope it's been a help to you. Let me know other things you want me to talk about, and until then, we'll see you next time. This is Tony Underwood and Quiz the Music Man signing off. Bye-bye.